I couldn't get to it because no.
Okay, Ryan, you have a question? You're gonna ask, okay?
Frozen around.
Brian, sorry.
Ryan.
I just
Ryan.
selective not to hear B. Oh look, all the soft, all the not soft page.
Wow.
I'm still have image of last year sophomore.
We're making our own.
Wow.
I'm sorry, guys. I was going to just make it work.
I was thinking
Okay, so I might record a fast video of speed run of this. Just if Brian has I'm sorry, Brian. I decided to get rid of B. Nicholas, if you have a question, I know David, it was here earlier, and Sam, if you have a question, please do ask. Because those questions, Tanisha, you have a question, you can ask as well. So first question, just basically use substitution, u equal to 3x, and then you're gonna have to make sure integration cosine, which is sine. That's that. Second question, you can do factor and cancel. That's the fastest way. You can do L'Hopital rule, but it's gonna take long time to do L'Hopital rule because you have to do three different derivatives before you get to L'Hopital rule where you can define. So I would do factor and cancel. That's the first thing you learn in the calculus. Okay, so this is the next question. Now this question is very crucial for a lot of you guys that you just plug in the 2, but it's more than that. In FRQ, if this question ever show on FRQ, you have to write down limit x approach to 2 from the left equal to limit x approach to the right. So in this case, that if you don't write that in FRQ, you're not gonna get a point. Okay, so if you just plug in, nobody know what you did. So that's question 3. Question 4, make sure you write cosine squared like this. Make sure you write that like this. So you can bubble correctly, and you can go from outside toward inside. And then you can take a derivative. Make sure you take a derivative cosine is negative.
Wait, for question 3,
Hmm?
is this question, for question 3, when do you know if they will like, because like, I know for some-
Okay, so that's a good question. So I think same question occurred in the second period also. So if I hear, then if it says continuous or differentiable, you have to do derivative. Okay, but differentiable also implies you have to do continuous first. If it's not continuous, so for example, a graph like this, not continuous, therefore they're not differentiable. So you have to check if it says differentiable, you have to check continuous first, then check differentiable. That means you have to take a derivative on both sides. And then plug in 2 and see if they equal to each other. But you also had to do it original function first. Because in BC, there's one question on the first question, they say it's differentiable, but end up the function is not even continuous. So end up to be undefined, that one question. Yeah, that one sucked. I got tricked. So it was a very bad question. So even they can tell you that they mess up, I mess up, everybody mess up. So it was a first question, everybody mess up. Like 95% of students mess up. They just take derivative both sides. They didn't check if it's continuous or not. But if it's not continuous, it's not differentiable. Is that okay? Okay. Next question. You write it this way, and you can do bubbles, and you can go straight inside, do 3 bubbles, you're gonna get that. Brian, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure derivative as cosine is gonna be negative. Number 5, I will do derivative. I'll set it equal to 0. I'll factor it. I'll do number line test. Anytime it says maximum min, you have to do a number line test. Okay, Nicholas, do you understand? If you don't understand, please ask me, because this is actually a video, because it would be beneficial if somebody did ask a question like Tanisha did. Yes, I do. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, number 9. I will take a derivative, but it's product rule and chain rule. The only thing that people usually mess up is the chain rule of this part here. So don't mess up, take a derivative inside, and then you have to do product rule. Now, do not oversimplify. You just go in from here and plug in the value x equal to 1, and then you're going to get an answer really quickly, and you don't need to factor out the most negative power, which is, unless the question is asking what is a derivative, then you probably have to factor out the most negative. Now, y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. This is equation tangent line. Remember I remember there's a question after that that asks approximation. Just plug in the new x value here and you can get an evaluation. Now, also, you need to understand, equation tangent line, they can also ask you equation normal line. Normal one is opposite reciprocal. So it's going to be -1 over 21 if it's a normal line. But they haven't asked that for a while, so it doesn't mean they won't. So they might ask that. And just simplify, you get all the way done. Sam, Tunisia, Brian, if you have a question, just let me know. David Henshaw or Nicholas. Yeah. This one, I will do U substitution. Now, why do I do U substitution? I know some simple one. U equal to square root x. Du is going to be 1/2. So du equal to 1/2 x to the -1/2 dx. Now, correctly, that should be equal to 1 over 2 square root x dx. Now, if you move to the other side, this and this will cancel out. And they will cancel out pretty nicely. And they will go into this. Now, this is another question on different exam. It's really similar. So e to the 1 over x to the x squared. The du is going to give you 1 over x squared. So that's nice. That's what it's going to get you. That's going to help you solve the problem. Similar question on a different test. This question, I realized I actually did it longer than what I was supposed to. So what happened is 2 would have canceled out with this 2 regardless. It will actually turn out to be nice. It will just turn out to be 4 plus k plus 8 plus 20 equal to 52. And then it'll be 2k is equal to whatever. And k is equal to 10. And it's much simpler than I did it. So I thought I was smart, but I wasn't. It was actually much shorter if you just cancel the 2 and 2 outside. I didn't need to split. So either way, it's fine. Trapezoid, you have to know your trapezoid, your midpoint, your left endpoint, your right endpoints. This question, we are talking about the integration. So this, you have to understand, this means what? This means s of 1 is equal to 7. And they just want to know what is s of 2. You can do it in terms of fundamental theorem calculus. Some people says, I don't prefer this way. And you will get the same answer, which is -3. But some people prefer this way. Definite integral, indefinite integral. You get something plus c. You plug in the 7 and you plug in the 1. So you got a c equal to 5. And then you plug in the t equal to 2. That evaluation is going to be much simpler for a lot of you guys. It's much more intuitive. To use fundamental theorem like this, it will be better if a question looks like this. If a question looks like something like, this is what maybe show on MCQ in multiple choice. If they say, oh yeah, I have v of t is like this is v of t, and this is 5, this is 2. And they say, oh yeah, s of 5 equal to 3. Something like that. And they say, what is s of 0? Now, this one is much better to do fundamental theorem calculus. You can do 0 to 5 of v of t is equal to s of 5 minus s of 0. Now, if I want to find s of 0, that means I'm going to replace that. So I'm going to say, move that to s of 0 to the right-hand side is equal to s of 5 minus integration 0 to 5 of v of t. And integration 0 to 5 is just the area under the curve, which is probably 5. So s of 5 is, let's say it's 3 minus 5, that's equal to -2. So that will be another way to ask if it's on the MCQ, but doesn't require a calculator, but they want to make it seem like it's using calculator. So I think this one, it occur again. There's a lot of recurring theme for this particular questions. The next one is the natural log. For this question, you gotta recognize the graphs give you vertical asymptote and horizontal asymptote. Horizontal asymptote is where limit x approach infinity and negative infinity. Vertical asymptote is denominator equal to 0. So let's look at denominator. If denominator equal to 0, and this happened at 2, so it'll be 2 squared plus b equal to 0. B is equal to -4. So you gotta answer only one answer would be with -4. Or you can reach infinity. If you reach infinity, just gonna be a over 1. Why is that? You divide it by highest degree of denominator and reach the infinity. Now, I think somebody asked me, how about negative infinity? Negative infinity also work because sometimes you got two horizontal asymptote, like this case, at -5/2, or 1/3, 1/3. If you reach negative infinity and positive infinity, you're gonna get two different horizontal asymptote. Those are more advanced question. This also get you two horizontal asymptote. In this case, it's gonna be 3/√2 or 3/-2 if you divide by highest degree of denominator. In this case, it's gonna be x squared, x. And then if you reach that, it's gonna give you positive, negative, two horizontal asymptote. This one just a quotient rule. A quotient rule, make sure you take a derivative e to the x, even negative x is gonna give you negative. Don't forget the low d high, high d low, over low low. Plug in the value, you're gonna get 3/4e. This question is not a question you can do fundamental theorem calculus. Then you can actually integrate this. Now this way, I show you two different ways, just like question 9 was. The one was position. This one just give you a regular function. You integrate it. I think there are a lot of people have hard time with. I think Brian asked yesterday, how is this? This changed to 1/2 power, and 1/2 power placed in the front, and 2 times 1/2, that's gonna equal to 1, and natural log of e just equal to 1. So that equal to very simplified 1 there. So that's how people simplify this particular one. You guys have any question? You guys can stop me anytime. Just raise your hand. Tanisha is okay?
Yeah.
Brian, you did this one yesterday. You remember it, right? You're not going to forget it again. You might forget it yesterday, but I think if the same question, you'll be fine. Question 13. Don't use substitution. Why do I know use substitution? Because x squared plus 1. If u equal to x squared plus 1, always think of in terms of du. du is going to be 3x squared. And there's no x squared outside, so that gives you a clue that you should not do use substitutions. So you should expand them, and then expand them. Do not say x to the 6 plus 1 because you kill a kitten. You actually write out like this. Expand them properly. Your algebra has to be sound in order to do well on AP exam. And then you just take integrate of that and you're done. Number question 14. This is the simplest question that you can get on AP exam. And they also can be the hardest one. So simplest and hardest at the same time. I call it S tier question, which is it has highest level of highest frequency. A frequency of the question is very important. You study high frequency questions. On AP exam, you always study high frequency exams. SAT, same way, you study high frequency. The low frequency question, doesn't matter how often you study, it doesn't really get you a lot better. You can spend 10 hours, you're probably going to get 2 questions right out of low frequency question. This is a high frequency, so you have to know definition of derivative. Definition of derivative is f prime of x. Make sure the left side has to be there, the right side has to be there. When h approaches 0, usually tells you that's the definition of derivative. This has to be 2 plus h. So 2 plus h, the which function you plug in 2 plus h is going to be e to the 2 plus h. So that function has to be e to the x. If you take a derivative e to the x, it's going to be e to the x. E to the square is it. That's it. They just want you to plug in 2. Question 15, simple. Just draw it out and figure out what that is. It's not cosine because cosine looks like this. 1 minus x squared look like this. E to the x look like that. Square root 1 minus, that's a circle. The only one is this one. Now, why does this one matter? Because imagine limit x approach infinity. that's going to plateau it at 0 because this part approaching infinity is 1 over infinity. It's going to a 0, negative infinity, same asymptote. So also give you a good indication is E. This one, Addison and Julia actually provide a very good logic here. So what happened is Mason asked me the first day, I got some issue to answer this question. I got down to this 3 choice, I got this 2, and I cannot differentiate between 2. I found 2 reasons why. So according to either Julia or Addison, they say it doesn't matter what you plug in, it's positive, so therefore it has to be increasing all the way through, which is eliminate all those choices. But this one's also increasing, this is increasing because it's still going up. But the problem is not differentiable at 2. This one's actually differentiable at 2 because you can plug in 2, you're going to get 0. So therefore, E is the only correct choices. Got it? Okay. Speed run, speed run. A lot of people don't know how to graph this. And that's a simple algebra question. Just factor out the x. And then that's going to be 1 minus 2x. And then that means x equal to 0, x equal to 1/2. That's what the x-intercept is. This is 1/2. So it's a parabola facing down because the x squared. So it's going to facing down like this. 1/2 x is going to be like this, negative slope. You just have to find the x-intercept, set 2 equations equal to each other, solve for x, factor out x equal to 0, x equal to 3. That gives you the boundary. 0 to 3, top minus the bottom. And then rest of them just math. I love this 18. Again, S-tier questions. Why? High frequency, occur in multiple choice, MCQ, FRQ, have them both. So y minus y1, m times x minus x1. Write that out. Plug in the x and y. Finding the slope by plugging that 1 into the derivative. So that you get the slope is 3. And you get down to this. When they ever want to ask you approximate value, plug in the 1.2 into the x. And then you're done. Solve for that, 4.6. Some people thought it's 4.64 because they thought it's exact value. No, that's not what they want. They don't want an exact value. They want an approximation. Calculus start with the approximating, and then eventually you're going to get an answer. 19. Take a derivative, number line test, concave up, concave down. Boom, up. Choose the right answer, move on. Again, recurring theme is fundamental theorem of calculus. This for the 5th time I mentioned fundamental theorem of calculus. I'm going to mention 5 more times throughout 45 questions. So this is the first one. That's going to be g of 3 minus g of 1. G prime, integration g prime of x equal to g of 3, g of 1, which is evaluate g of 3, g of 1, subtract each other, you got 2. Got it? Yes? Move on. A lot of people confused about this one. And Tunisia confused about this one still, or no? You understand now? Okay. Sam, do you understand this one?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, cool. Nicholas, do you understand this one?
I understand how you do it, but I don't really get
Conceptually, just think about this is some type of velocity question. So there's some type of velocity going up and down. But this 2 told you what? This is position at 2. Because this is f prime, which is this is the velocity. But if they say f of 0, that means at 0 t equal to 0, my position is at 2. So it's like you're running a race. You already start 2 meters ahead of everybody else. Yeah, you saw at 2. Then when you get to here, your position is going to be 22. But when you get here, you're actually going backward because below x-axis, you got negative velocity. That means you travel backward. How far you travel backward? Find out the area. So it's going to minus 6. That's actually equal to 16. This is actually equal to 20. I actually went back to evaluate every single point that would happen. Now, this is the reason why you should never graph integrals. Because to calculate this each value, the calculator doesn't have enough memory to calculate each area on the curve at every small values. And they want to calculate this value, and they want you to take a value to graph it. It's going to take forever. That's why you got a spiral thing. Question 22, number line test, and analyze whatever. You had to test 1, 2, 3. The one thing about square is always positive. That's nice. The cube in first is only one that has sign changes. And just depending on which value you plug in, maximum at 2, because when positive and negative, that's maximum. And that's equal to A. 23 is one question. I still don't know the reason why what is the idea about C. So that one, I'm gonna try to avoid that, but I'm gonna get the other one. So this is definitely equal to 0. Remember, this is definition of alternative derivative. So if you don't have it, write it down. F prime C equal to limit x equals C, f of x minus f of C over x minus C. Why that's important? Because imagine there's a 0 here. So that means you are looking for f prime of 0 for this particular thing. F prime of 0 is not defined because it's a sharp term. It's negative, positive, it's sharp term, so it's not differentiable. So therefore 0 here is undefined. So E is undefined, so this is true. And D is derivative at 2 is also true, slope is 2. And this one I'm not sure. This one's for sure false, but this one should be does not exist. This one's equal to 0. This one's a question mark. I still have no idea why this one's completely wrong, but I know B is more wrong than C, so I'm gonna choose B. And I'm gonna be honest with, I don't know why that is, so I'm just gonna move on with this questions. Hopefully everybody understand why the other one are false. Okay, move on forward. First of all, A equal to pi r squared, C equal to 2 pi r. You should know this for SAT. It's very, very helpful if you know this equation. Also in SAT, please know how to complete the square for circle equation. If you don't know, make sure you go back to watch Khan Academy or whatever, my video, whatever, anybody's video, just say complete the square. It help you with SAT. For those of you guys score low, I think last SAT has 3 questions on circles. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. There's one even have a complete a square after you find a circle. They want to find the circumscribed perimeter of the square. So it's 8 times the radius because you got 1 radius here, 1 radius here, 1 radius here, 1 radius here. So a total of 4 times. So it's not as bad as you think. It's just here to draw the picture. A lot of times you just have to draw the picture and then complete them. Pi r squared, 2 pi r, take a derivative is going to be this. Take a derivative is going to be this. Now I got to set up the statement. This statement says the rate of increasing area is numerically equal to twice the variable, twice the rate increasing of circumference. So dA dt equal to 2 dc dt. Again, I just write everything out. You're going to find out a lot of things cancel. dr dt cancel, 2 pi cancel, r equal to 2. Boom. Super fast. Ani said hi. Ani, do you guys know Ani? Yeah, Ani. That's her last name, right? Oh no, Ani. Yeah, Shikula. No, Shikula. Hi, Ani. How are you? Huh? Does he know that? Did you ever ask him before?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Ani, Sydney want to ask you, do you like jazz? Happy? I'm not either. Trust me, I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of it. That's worse than Slay, honestly. That's worse than Slay.
Slay's worse.
Nothing's worse than Slay. Slay is bad. Slay is really bad. Okay, so for this question, I take a derivative. I do not want to solve for dy dx because I take another 30 seconds to solve dy dx. I still have to plug in x and y, so I'm not wasting those 30 seconds. I plug in the y and x into here, and I just evaluate. Treat them like x. So I move this to the other side. It's going to be -1. So then minus dy dx, so 11 dy dx equal to -7. Solve for it. Boom, done. I'm not solving for dy dx. What if I make a mistake? I could have plugged in here. I'm still going to make same mistake anyway. So why should I waste another 30 seconds? He didn't reply, so that means he doesn't want to reply to you. Okay. Number line test, natural log of x, which is 1, critical number. 1 minus natural log of x, critical number is e. So you got negative, positive, positive, negative if I plug in. So how do I know this part's negative though? Do you guys know why this is negative? Do you know why you plug in less than 1 is negative? Tanisha? Look at the graph. This is the graph. 1 is going to be negative, and this is positive. So negative, positive. Yes, you do need to know the problem because you don't know this one. You cannot use calculator. You cannot plug in like natural log of half. So you have to know your graph. And same thing is 1 minus natural log of x. That x equal to e. So this one's positive, negative. And then you're gonna pick the choice increasing concave down. Guys, I actually have a legitimate question. I'm recording. So I'm recording speed run, so keep your voice down. Yes. What happened, Tanisha?
It's possible to go and do without the graph though, right? Like algebraically. Or is it not possible?
It's not possible. I think you just have to understand the graph. There's 2 graphs I want you to understand, which e to the x and natural log of x. E to the x looks like this. When you go on this side, it's going towards 0. When you go on this side, it's going to infinity. There's asymptote this side. This is e to the x. Natural log of x is going to be like this. It's going to negative infinity after 1. Did you write down? 27, fundamental theorem calculus. Why? Because they want an f prime of 2, so that means I have to take a derivative. So I write this d to the dx as red. So first of all, I will take integration this part. Integration, why did I write down g of t? Because I have no idea how to take integration this. I've been teaching for 10 years. I still don't know how to take integration square root t squared minus t. It's actually not possible for any of you guys. Not even a math competition because t squared minus t, well, maybe, I have to think about how to take integration. I don't think it's possible to take integration. Maybe you had to do something with polar or, no, not even polar. So Calc 2 doesn't even qualify for that. So therefore, just assume this is g of t. If you integration with small g, you got big G. And then you take a derivative, just do a chain rule. Chain rule of 4 is 0. So this whole term completely go away. So g of 2x times 2. G of 2x, we already say this is a thing. Just plug in here, plug in here. You got 2x squared minus 2x times 2. Plug in the 2. You got 2 square root 12. And I said this is kind of unprofessionally done because they didn't simplify the square root 12. I was kind of disappointed about College Board here. It should have been 4 square root 3. That's much better answers. Questions? Very good question, though.
Can you go over like the second step? No, it's fundamental theorem calculus. So once you like
Now I take a derivative, right? Yeah, so small g of 2x times derivative inside, which is 2. And g of 4 times 0 is going to be here. Because derivative of 4 is 0, so this thing go away. So anything you have constant, after you take a derivative, that term is going to completely go away. Brian, do you understand? No, which part don't I understand? Gotta talk. Okay, which part you lost? But which part you lost? You gotta talk to me.
Oh, we can do this. I'll ask later.
No, ask now. You guys know Ninjago, right? Master Wu says.
I don't remember Ninjago.
Yeah, Ninjago. What does Master Wu always say? What it can be done today, do today, or something like that. That's the whole reason that where Gamadang becomes because Gamadang's brother, he like at very first episode, he refused to do it things. Now he's like, his master told him to do it something later, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it, and then end up he go do it later, and he got bit by a snake, and that's how he become a Gamadang.
Nathan Moon has two Ninjago names in his name. Nathan Kai Moon.
Kai, the red one.
Yeah. It's a cool little name.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love Kai. It's like my favorite Kai. Favorite guy. Yeah. You're a big coconut.
Okay, shh. Yeah, Tunisia.
Yeah, so after, I understand up until the g of 2x times 2 point, so how do you get to the next part?
I take a derivative because I want f prime, but this is f of x. So I take a derivative.
Yeah.
Once I take a derivative of the big G, I get small g of 2x times derivative inside the parenthesis, which is 2. And then g of 4 times derivative of 4 is 0.
Yeah. My question is, like, what do you do like after that point? So like.
Okay, so there's a g of 2x of 2. Now, this is g of t. What I assume that what was a function, because I don't know how to take integral of that. Even I don't know, you don't know either. So I'm going to plug in 2x now. So it'll be 2x to the square 2x. Now I plug in 2. So it's going to be 4 times square is 16. This is 4. Make sure you times 2. Because they're both answers there. So you got to pick the right one, E. Because 2 times square root 2. That 2 is due to the chain rule of that.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think he explained to Brian? Because okay, so 28. This one just have to remember u prime over square root 1 minus u squared. Now, cosine inverse is gonna be negative version of this. You have to know tangent. Tangent's u prime over 1 plus u squared. So this is sine inverse of x, d to the dx. And you have to know d to the dx of tan of x is equal to u prime over 1 plus u squared. Now this one, just remember the formula, so the answer is going to be E. Don't forget the chain rule, which is 5. Take a derivative here, 5. Oh, you know Ani because chorus. Ani is in the chorus, right?
He was in.
Yeah.
Nice.
76, just take a derivative, plug in 6. Pretty easy. 77. Shh. 77. This one is actually pretty difficult because you have to integrate a 3 between 0 to 5. Break down this part. So break down those integral because there's a property. You can break down those. Integration 0 to 3, it looks like this. This just this area here, 3 times 5 is 15. Or you can do it this way. You get 15 as well. So now you're going to be 2 times of this. It's going to be 35. Sam, questions? Tunisia?
I'm confused this one, but I'm gonna work it out.
No. Don't tell me you're confused.
Not
Should I move on or you guys got this? Okay, I'll come back if you still lost. 78. Okay, so this is h prime, but this is h is the temperature, so it must be rate of a temperature. And at 24, it's actually at 24 that says end at 24 hour. So this one only one makes sense. The other one doesn't make sense. This one is rate out, including initial condition. So you start with 81.63, subtract, this has to be subtract both answers there, plus the answers there, minus the answers there. So I'm going to go with minus because they are taken away. This one, I've done this beautiful drawing of right, left, and trapezoid. Yeah, that's very nice. I'm kind of proud of that with different color. Okay, shh. Guys over there, can you guys quiet down? Question 81. I love this question because how many inflection points? You're gonna see analyzing graph is the biggest part. Harmon last year said he doesn't know how to do calculation algebra at all. And he got a 5. How? He understands all the analyzing graph questions and get done with like 10 seconds. This is the question. You plug in the derivative, you graph this. So you graph this, you're gonna get this. Now you want to change your range, your x min and x max to 0 to 6.28 because 2 pi is 6.28. So then you're gonna have this point, this point, this point, this point. So it's 4 points. So because those are points from increasing to decreasing, that is a second derivative. Because you ask increasing, decreasing of f prime means the slope of f prime is changing. So therefore, you got 4. This question totally does not make sense on this one, but answer is C. Because it technically, you can say greater or equal to, but it could be all equal to. Shh. Guys, I'm almost done. Just let me go through it. F of C equal to 0. That's not true. A graph can go up. It does not equal to 0. It could go down. This one could be not true. F prime of C is equal to 0. It does not have to equal to 0 because they only say continuous, never say differentiable. This never say differentiable because you cannot assume it's differentiable. This question is f of b minus f a over b minus a. Okay? This one is differentiable, but that's not true. It's not differentiable. So C is the only correct answer. Emil kind of say this one, just take an average between those two. Pick a slope here, pick a slope, and just average those two. I kind of disagree with that point of view. It's not the average.
I just said average. That's what I did.
It's in between. It cannot be 29 and it cannot be 30.5. Has to be in between. So I think the keywords could be. So I think I understand what you're saying, but it's not exactly right in between. Otherwise, it will be 29.75.
It's like 29.5 or something.
Yeah. So 30 is correct. 30 is good. This is S tier questions. They can ask you so many things from here. Inflection point, concave up, concave down, maximum, minimum. They can ask you concave up and decreasing, concave down, increasing. They can ask so many things out of this question. Inflection point will be 1, 2, 3. Maximum will be here. Minimum will be here. And concave up and decreasing. It's gonna be here and here. So yes, there's so many things you can ask here. 85. Top minus bottom. So if I top minus bottom, it's going to be x squared over 10 minus negative x squared over 10. That's equal to 2x squared over 10. That's equal to 5. So I take an integration of x squared over 2, 5 squared, between 1 to 4. And there's no pi in the front because I'm not revolving. Ilya, please shush because I'm almost done. '86. Anything can happen between 3 to 4. So this is very easy to exclude it. You can have 20 different oscillations between 3 to 4. So minimum between 3 to 7 is 12. That's not necessarily true. I can go below 12. I can go to 5,000, negative 5,000. Doesn't matter. So this one for sure false. F prime of x greater than 0, that's for sure false. Even though it's 5 to 7 look like it's increasing, but what happened between 5 to 6? I could go down and come back up. So 2 is only 1, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Because they did say it's differentiable, therefore f prime of c has to equal to 0, because it go down and come back up. I actually told you the maximum at this point. This is actually the minimum. And at this inflection point, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to see the theme is analyzing the graph. Average rate of change. This is already rate. If I integrate, it's going to be the amount. But if you divide it by time again, it can become rate again. So therefore, you have to divide it by time is 4 minus 0 here. This is going to be the amount. So amount over time is a rate. Average rate of change is perfect. 89. product rule, generic derivative, plug in the value, look in the table. Just look at all the information from here. Once you did this on FRQ, you're gonna get a point. Once you plug in, you're gonna get a point. This is S tier. This is very, very important. This question is inverse derivative. Why is the inverse? F of g of x equal to x, g of f of x equal to x. This is the inverse function. And if inverse, that means g of 8 has to be 3. So therefore, it has to be these two choices. Now, what's g prime of 8? G prime of 8 out of those two is the one with positive because the reciprocal, the inverse derivative is the reciprocal, not opposite reciprocal. So it's 1 over 9 because this is equal to 9. Then it's going to be 1 over 9 because this the inverse 3 value here. So it's g of 8, same thing. Absolute value. If you don't have absolute value, you don't get a point. I forgot what's the answer choices here. Did anybody know the answer choice here? Yeah. If you do it correctly, what would you get? D. And this one is C because I graph it. And if I graph this particular one, I know this is the biggest area covered from here to here. That has to be a maximum 1.465. Done. I feel like the theme is at least 10 questions analyzing the graph. If you don't know math, you know how to analyze a graph, you win. And raw graph, if you know some math and then something, it's going to be 4 or 5. Oh, I like the comment. That's really sweet, raw graph. Huh? You have my feeling hurt.
I'm gonna go to my mom's.